guys, give me a few seconds. Let me do the audio thingy on my laptop and then we can get started, okay? All right, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1. What's up everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel / my podcast. I am the Marketing Nomad. My name is Prithvi Madhukar. In this audio, we are going to be talking about how do you use negative experiences as a foundation to create the life that you want. Okay, so right now it is November 23rd, 2023. It's 10:32 a.m. As I'm recording this. It is quite a cloudy day in Bangalore. Like if you're just looking outside right now, it's gonna feel that it is probably 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. in the evening and it's going to rain, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna rain even now. It's a very, very cloudy day. I know a lot of people say that, you know, they like sunny days and it's bright. For me, I love cloudy days. It just brings me so much joy and I'm in such positive energy. I know that it's a little bit different from what you hear out there, but I am just filled with so much energy today. I love cloudy days. I love rain. I love the snow. I don't know why, but I do. And it's funny because I've lived like most of my life in the tropical zone, I guess I'll call it. I mean, I lived in Singapore for like 11 years and that's right on the equator. And for me to say that I love cloudy days or I love the snow is a little bit weird, yes. But I love it. I love cloudy days. I love the rain. So yeah, that's a little bit of backstory of what's happening right now as I'm going through it. And yeah, so before we get into the entire podio, I do want to say that I am dedicating this podio to my mom. All right, the reason for that is this entire podio, the lesson that I'm going to be sharing with you in this entire podio is directly learned from her. And I've learned it by watching how she has tackled the negative experiences or challenges that she has been through. And trust me, I have seen her go through so much in the last 31 years of my life. And I gotta say, the way that she's been able to use those negative experiences as a foundation to create exactly what she wanted has been amazing. And frankly, it has time and again taught me how powerful each one of us are, you know? And I've just seen her do it so gracefully and I've learned it from her, all right? She's so strong and I look up to her in so many different ways. And for me, the reason why today I'm able to use my negative experiences as a foundation to create the life I want is only and only because I've been watching her do it for 31 years of my life. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you before we got into the entire podio, all right? So this is a thank you to her for always teaching me lessons by setting herself as an example. I think that is something that she has always been doing right since the beginning. Like she would explain something, but we would also, like my sister and I, we would also watch her follow every single thing that she has taught us. And in a way, you know, I hope I do my best to be someone who is like her in that respect, all right? Okay, so that's the start of this podio. Now let's get into the actual podio. So I've kind of divided this into 3 parts. The first part is about channeling that energy, and of course it's me. I'm going to be talking about energy. I love talking about energy. So the first part is about channeling that energy. The second is about viewing it in a positive / healthy perspective, viewing your experiences in a positive and healthy perspective. And the third is what I call bridging the gap, all right? So we're gonna get into it, don't worry, okay? We're gonna get into it in this entire podio. It might take us some time, but I want to make sure that I've got the entire concept out and I haven't missed anything, all right? So hold on. And we shall get into the first part, which is called channeling the energy. All right, let's get into it. So everything is energy, right? Whatever state that you are in, there is energy that you are exuding, whether you are in pain, you are in a state of anger or anguish or happiness or sadness, whatever you are feeling right now, there is energy associated with it. So when you are going through a negative experience or when you are in a challenging situation, there is energy related to that as well. The pain that you might be going through, the confusion that you might be going through, the anger, the frustration, so on, and maybe sometimes sadness as well. Whatever it is that you are feeling in that moment, there is a certain energy that is related to that as well, that comes with whatever it is that you're feeling. So the first step that you have to take when you are in a negative experience or when you are in a challenging situation is to figure out how you are going to channel all of that energy into something that works for you. Because the reason why you perceive this to be a negative experience or a challenging situation is because you perceive something's not working right for you, right? And so one way to look at it is to understand how you can use whatever energy that is coming out of that entire situation, use that energy and convert that situation into something that works for you, into something that aligns to who you are at that moment in time, all right? Because law of thermodynamics does state that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but it can be converted from one form to another. So you're just using that concept. You're just converting whatever energy that you are feeling in that negative experience, in that challenging situation, and you are converting that energy into taking actionable steps, into changing your mindset and channeling that energy into creating something that works for you. All right, and I'm going to give you an example because I think that my example was pretty big, first off. And second, I think it's going to help you understand better what I mean when I say channel the energy that you are feeling in that negative situation. So of course, this means story time, and we're going to get into it, okay? I'll go into a little bit more detail because I want to explain how exactly I channeled the energy into something positive. So for those of you who may not know, I was working on Long Island, and this was 4 years ago. This was 2019. I was working on Long Island, great company, amazing friends, great colleagues, and I was just having the time of my life on Long Island. Now, I'd done my MBA in Rochester, New York, and after that, I got this job, and I was still on my student visa. We get 1 year of working on your student visa. And so after that, you have to convert your student visa into a work visa, which is called the H-1B visa in the US. Unfortunately, or fortunately, like today, after 4 years, I can say it was just what was meant to be. Whatever fate or destiny you can call it, my work visa did not get processed, which meant I had to leave the life that I created for myself. I had to leave my friends, my best friends, my colleagues, and just, I think I had to also let go of the future I had envisioned for myself. And that was so heartbreaking for me. It was so heartbreaking for me. I was in a very, very dark place at that point in time. Like there was just so much of pain and anguish and frustration, and I was just sad. I was so sad. And it took me a good 1.5 to 2 months of being in that energy and remembering that I've got to use that energy and channel it into something that works for me, because right now that situation, it was just not working for me. And so of course I'd seen my mom do it multiple times, and frankly I had done it before, but those were all on a smaller scale. And this was a big one because my entire life was displaced. I had to start from scratch. And so for me, I wasn't sure if I could do it. First off, at that point in time, I just, when you're in a dark place, it's hard to see anything positive from there. When you are in a dark place, light seems impossible, and the concept of moving towards light itself is very, very hard. And so amidst all of that, I remembered that, my mom, she does this. She does this with so much grace. And I don't think I did it as gracefully as I perceive her to be, graceful with the way that she moves. But I took her as an inspiration, and I started applying that concept to this. And this was on a much larger scale, right? So I started applying to whatever it is that I was going through. So whatever pain, whatever frustration, whatever anger that I was having, I used that. I just bundled all of that energy, and I'm like, let's make a life for myself that I will be peaceful with. And that's how I became a digital entrepreneur. For me, it was more, that decision was more out of anger and anguish, and it's true, it is true. Now I was like, okay, fine, well, I'm going to create whatever life I want for myself. And it came out of that. And of course, over time, I was able to heal that wound, and the decisions that I made were more coming from a place of peace and joy and happiness. But I remember how I channeled whatever energy that was, and I just focused it into creating my business and just doing whatever felt aligned to me. And so that brings me to where I am at today. It's been 4 years, and when I look back, I know it was me channeling that negative experience, that what I perceived to be a negative experience at that point in time, because remember, everything is perception, right? So the way that I see it 4 years on, one, I take it as it was fate, it was destiny for me to become a digital entrepreneur. I think this was what I was always meant to do, and be the kind of person who shows up over here talking about the things that I do, so on and so forth. I really think this was my life purpose, and I could not have made it here if it were not for that experience. But at the same time, what I do see is me shifting my perspective. Like, I was in a very, very dark place, but shifting that perspective. And at that time, I may not have believed that I could unlock a better future for myself. I will be very honest with you, I didn't think I could do it, but it was just using that energy, and instead of staying stuck in that negative energy or whatever pain, frustration, anger, anguish that I was going through at that point, instead of choosing to stay stuck in it, what I did was I chose to use that and convert that into something that felt peaceful, that felt joyful, that gave me happiness, so on and so forth. So for me, channeling the energy that you have, because let me tell you, when you are going through a negative experience, and it depends on the magnitude of the experience as well, the energy associated with that is directly proportional. Like, the more worse the situation is, I guess I would say, the more energy comes out of it, because of course that's talking a little bit about the gap between the life that you want and the life that you're leading, and the gap becomes more, right, as the situation worsens. So the more the gap is, the more the energy associated with that gap also is. You can take it in a positive way, you can take it in a negative way. The positive or the healthy way to look at it would be, I have so much of that energy within me. Yes, right now that energy is not serving me, but I am going to use the power of that energy and create something that works for me. And I gotta tell you, given that this was a much larger scale, the energy that I had within me, even though it was I guess I would say more of pain, anguish, anger, sadness, I was able to harness the power of that energy and just use it, focus on building a life that aligned with who I am. And so I gotta say, that energy is powerful, And the more worse you perceive the situation to be, like I said, I keep repeating, everything is perception. More worse that you perceive the situation to be, the more energy you have to harness, which actually works for you, because that means the transformation that you are bringing based off of that energy is going to be more. All right? So the worse the situation is, the more energy you can harness and the bigger the transformation you can bring about to your life. This is how I perceive my life as well. All right? So the first part of this entire podio is about channeling that energy. And how do you channel it? To recognize that every single thing that you are feeling in that situation has energy, and that energy is powerful. You've got to learn how to use that energy, to recognize that there is energy to begin with. Use that energy, convert it into something that works for you. Convert all of that pain, that anguish, that sadness, that discomfort that you're feeling, convert it into positive feelings like, for example, joy, peace, happiness, alignment, so on and so forth. And how do you do that? You use that energy, you use it to take actionable steps and create the life that you want. Okay? So this is what I mean when I say channeling that energy. Now, the second part that we're getting into is more about understanding, and this might be a little bit on the spiritual side, all right? So we're going to get into that as well. So for me, when I perceive negative experiences or situations that do not serve me, I perceive them to be necessary for me to get to where I want to be. And for me, if I look back at my life, and I'm sure when you look back at your life, you are going to see this pattern as well. I have always been through something negative, or what I perceive to be negative, something that did not serve me, for me to get to what served me. Always. And you are going to notice that pattern in your life as well. The reason for that is what I think, okay, is every experience, whether positive or negative, is trying to teach you something. And to get to where you want to be, you've got to go through the process of what makes you someone who is capable of creating what you want. So all of these lessons are actually part of the process. They're not there to hinder you or remove you from the process. No, I really think that the challenges that you face, the negative experiences that you are facing right now is required and necessary for you to get to the life that you want, or the life that is aligned to who you are. A life where there is, I guess I would say, alignment in the form of you finding your life purpose, or you knowing what makes you peaceful and what brings you the joy that you are looking for. I think that negative experiences or the situations that bring you discomfort or are challenging are necessary and needed to give you the lessons that you need to make you into the person that you need to be to create that life that you want, as well as sustain it. Both of them are very, very important. So when you perceive your negative experiences or your situations this way, every time you are going through a period of your time where something just doesn't feel right, either you're hitting blocks after blocks, or you're just not feeling peace, it's bringing you a lot of pain, a lot of anguish, what I want you to do is ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? What am I supposed to learn from this so that I can become the person who is able to get to where I want to be? Because part of the process of getting to where you want to be is transformation. That is a very, very integral part of the process. And you can't transform yourself without adversity. The adversity is a very, very important catalyst for transformation. And so once you understand this, the way that you look at adversities or challenges or negative experiences shifts by a very, very big degree. And I love how I perceive negative experiences, because to be honest, something that I went through from Feb all the way till May this year. Something as recent as that. I was in a period of confusion, of utter chaos, of just not being peaceful with where I was severe discomfort in where I was. But at the same time, I knew I had to go through this. I didn't know what exactly it was going to lead me to. I didn't know why I was going through all of that, but I just had this intense faith that what I was going through was leading me to the life that I wanted, or the life that was most aligned to me. I just knew that this entire period was there for me to learn how to become the person who is able to create a life that is most aligned to me. And what do you know? May I made the decision, and it's November now as I'm speaking to you. And now I know why I went through that period. Possibly sometimes when you're going through that negative experience, or when you are going through a challenging situation, you may not understand why it is happening, but I do want you to have faith that it is transforming you into the person that you need to be to get to where you want to be. Okay, that's very, very important, and that's probably a big takeaway that I want you to take from this audio. All right, just have faith that whatever you are going through is making you into the person that you need to be to get to where you want to be, or what is most aligned with you. All right, so every single time I find myself in a negative experience or in a situation that is not serving me, I'm not feeling peaceful, I just don't feel like I'm fitting in. Every single time I sense that energy, of course I do channel that energy, but every time I do sense that energy, the immediate questions that come to my mind is, what is this experience trying to teach me? What am I supposed to learn? Because like I told you, again, in the spiritual aspect of it, we talked about soul lessons in a previous podio, and I do want to pick that up over here. You are meant to learn certain lessons in this lifetime. It is something called soul lessons. You agreed to the list before you came here, and that's what I believe in. And so whatever it is that you are going through, all right, whatever negative experiences that you perceive you are going through, or the situations that you find yourself that are challenging or have adversity in them, they are basically soul lessons that you signed up for. All right, and the quicker you learn that lesson, the faster you get out of it. All right, and how do you learn that lesson quickly? Not by skipping steps. You learn it first by recognizing there is a lesson to be learned over there. And the minute you recognize it, you can get started on working on what is the lesson that I needed to learn. Like, for example, from Feb to May, the lesson that I personally needed to learn was keeping myself first, keeping my desires, my wants, my needs first and foremost, and not succumb to what people around me wanted for me or what they perceived was good for me. And this was such a big lesson that I had to learn. And in May, I put my foot down and I said, you know what? I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to put my needs, my wants first. And I put myself first, and then things just sorted out on its own. That is the person that I had to become to create a life that's aligned. And today I feel very, very aligned because of that decision that I made in May. But up until May, the kind of person that I was exuding was that, I was taking everybody else's opinions into consideration and neglecting my own needs and so on and so forth. So I needed that period of confusion to make up my mind and put myself first, I guess I would say. So every single experience is trying to teach you something. That's a lesson that you have to learn so that you can transform into a person that can actually create a life that is aligned to who you are. So always ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? What lesson am I supposed to learn at this point in time? And it may not come to you like this, okay? I gotta be honest with you. It's gonna take you some time, all right? It's gonna take you some time of self-reflection, of awareness, like why am I going through this? What is the hidden agenda? Now, when you look at negative experiences or challenges or adversity, one perspective that I have is it's there to help me. Before, when I was going through my stuff, I always thought, and I've been through quite a lot during my engineering, I thought that negative experiences or adversities were just there to bring me down, and I never understood why I was going through so much. And it frankly put me in a very, very dark headspace when I thought of challenges or adversities like that. I said, why is life out to get me? Like, what have I done? I'm a good person. Why does this happen to me? I don't intentionally, hurt people. I'm just by myself. I try to be a good person. Why am I going through all of this? And it was just very, very hard period for me during my engineering, because I didn't understand it. But from what I realized, I need these experiences, the situations that do not serve me, for me to transform. So all of those are helping me become a better version of myself, or a more aligned version of myself, so that I can create whatever it is that I want to, or whatever feels aligned to me. So every negative experience, every adversity, every challenge is actually there to help you. And the minute you view those experiences like this, whether it's your past, your present, or your future, it completely changes the way that you show up, because now you no longer are feeling defeated in these experiences. You're just like, okay, you're here to help me. That's okay. You're kind of stressing me out a bit right now. You're giving me a little bit of pain. I'm not feeling at peace, but it's okay. I know you are there to help me. I know you are there to transform me. And I'm gonna figure out the lesson. I'm gonna work on it, and I'm gonna become the person that I need to become to get to where I need to be. All right, give me 1 second. I am going to do the camera thing because we've just crossed 25 minutes and we shall get back. Okay, it's just gonna take a second. All right, we are back. So basically, when you start viewing your adversities as something that is helping you rather than what is pulling you back, I think it just changes the way that you show up, and frankly, that itself changes your energy, because now, even though there is pain, there is anguish, there is anger, possibly sadness, and lack of peace, there is still a little portion of it that has hope that this experience is there to put you in a better place. Okay? So I think that hope is powerful. I think we've even talked about it in another podio as well. So for me, take that personal development and the self-discovery that happens with adversities, with the challenges that you're going through, take that as a necessary step towards where you need to go. And I think that when you perceive it as a process, as part of the process, I really think that's when you can show up in a way that views these adversities in a more healthy light, and you are able to channel that energy that you do have. You are able to channel it in an easier way into something that aligns most with you, all right? So now, for me, the third part, I'm just looking down at my notes just to see if we've covered everything that I wanted to talk about. And yes, we have. That's a good thing. All right. What I've written over here is, the adversity is necessary to change you, to transform you into the person that you need to be, to create and sustain the life that is most aligned to who you are. You can't be in one place and expect things to suddenly magically appear around you, like the life that is most aligned. There needs to be a process to that. And this is part of the process. When you perceive it to be part of the process to transform you, part of the process to get you to where you want to be. You said you wanted to get there, so this is the process. I think the more you perceive it that way, the easier it becomes for you to navigate those experiences in a healthy way. All right? So the third aspect that we're getting into in this podio is bridging the gap. So naturally, when you are going through a negative experience or you're going through a challenge, some sort of adversity, the reason why you feel all the feelings that you're going through, like that pain, that anguish, that anger, frustration, what else, the sadness, the reason is there's a gap, right? There's a gap between where you thought you were going to be and where you are at right now. So the third step in all of this is taking steps to bridge that gap. okay? And how do you take steps to bridge that gap? You have to first accept where you are at right now, okay? You have to first tell yourself again and again, as many times as you need to hear it, that this is where I am right now. Yes, there is a gap between where I am right now to where I want to be, but there's a reason why I am here, and I need to take my next steps from where I am at right now, all right? That's very, very important, because oftentimes, I'm gonna take my own example, the one that happened 4 years ago. For me, the reason why it took me some time to channel that energy is because I couldn't accept that this was my life now. I couldn't accept that I was no longer going to be in the same city, let alone the same country, as my friends and my best friends. And frankly, there's a very common misconception that you have to be in a particular city or country or a certain job, a certain career path for you to be successful in life. And frankly, that scared me as well, you know, that everything that I had been taught or conditioned by the society was now not happening. And for me, it was very, very difficult for me to accept that this is where I was at right now, for me to accept that the future that I had envisioned for myself was no longer there anymore, and I had to create a new future for myself. That was very hard. But the minute I did that, the minute I accepted that, all right, this is where I am right now. You know, I'm someone whose work visa did not get processed. I'm someone who has to leave the United States of America and go back to India. I am someone who has to start a new life in Bangalore, you know, someone who has to go back and live with her parents and her sister at that point in time, and build a life back there, and so on and so forth. So the more I got to accepting where I was and acknowledging the gap, I think the easier it was for me to channel that energy. I think the clearer my mind got in understanding how to use the energy that I was with. And it was a very, very powerful energy, the pain, the anguish, all of that. How to use that energy and convert it into something that worked for me, all right? So understand that, all right, this is where I am right now. Accept where you are at right now. You know, whatever circumstances are not going according to what you think they should have been, understand that, and understand where you need to be or where you want to be, okay? And understand that there's a gap over there, but you can work from where you are at right now. I think another aspect of this is recognizing that even though there is a gap between where you are at right now and where you thought you would be, understand that there is always a path to where you need to get to, or where it is most aligned to who you are. The reason why I panicked a lot back then 4 years ago is because I thought there was no path. There was no hope at all for me, okay? But slowly, 4 years on, I know now when I look back that there was always a path, okay? And it starts with small, small steps. It really does start with small, small steps. And what I do want to say is there's always a path, okay? Regardless of how hopeless your situation seems at this moment in time, I don't know who needs to hear this, and I want to say this because I think there's someone out there who needs to hear this. Regardless of how hopeless your situation feels to you right now, there is always, I guarantee it, there is always a path to where you need to be. All you have to do is channel the energy that you're feeling now and take one by one, baby steps, and that's okay. But take those steps in the path that is meant for you to take. There is a path. You may not be able to see it, you may not be able to perceive it, but trust that there is a path. And sometimes the path opens up to you only after you've taken a few steps, okay? After you've had that blind faith that whatever you're doing is taking you to where you need to be, and then slowly the next step starts showing up, then the next step starts showing up, so on and so forth. For me, that is what happened. Of course, there have been situations in my life where the minute I took a different step, things opened up in a whole new direction. But in the case that I was telling you, in the example that I was showing you, for me, the path didn't appear to me until 2 years in, but I had this weird blind faith that I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna take one step at a time. And for me, the minute I took one step, the next step opened up. Then I took that step, then the next step opened up, so on and so forth. So I've been in both of those situations. It really is very individualistic, but for me, something that is very, very powerful and is necessary is just having faith that regardless of how hopeless your situation seems now, regardless of whatever it is that you are feeling right now, there is, and I guarantee, okay, I promise, there is a path to where you need to be. It's just gonna take you a little bit of time, but please trust that there is a path. There is a way out of whatever it is you are going through, and that way out is going to lead you to where you need to be. Just have to understand what is the lesson that you are supposed to learn at this moment in time. Oops, I lost my breath over there. Yeah, got very, very deep into this. Forgot to take breath. Oh my God, this happens a lot to me, okay? Anyway, getting back, you have to understand that there is a path, and sometimes that path may not be visible to you, but have faith, okay? Just have faith, keep taking steps towards that, and understand that whatever it is that you're going through, it's not a setback. It's part of the path to get you to where you want to be, where you need to be. And frankly, I gotta tell you this, I don't know why, but from the age of, I think it was like 13 or something, I think even like when I was 7 years old, whenever people would ask me, what do you want to be? I'd be like, I want to be the boss. Always, I'd just be like, I want to be a boss. Everybody wanted to be doctors or engineers or, teachers and so on and so forth. But me, it was just, I want to be the boss. And of course, at that point, I didn't know CEO and all that. And as I grew older, as I started understanding my parents' businesses from the age of 13, I knew, okay, well, I want to be a CEO and I want to make a difference to the people around me and so on and so forth. So all along, all through my life, I knew somehow that this is where I wanted to be, this is who I wanted to be, and this is the future that I envisioned. And of course, along the way, I kind of got lost because of societal pressures and what other people perceived to be best for them, and I thought it was best for me as well, so on and so forth. We'll talk about that in another podio. Anyway, of course, that vision got lost, but frankly, with the whole thing that happened 4 years ago, I am exactly where I need to be. This is my life purpose, and I don't think I would have ended up on this path, or maybe there would have been significant delays getting here, because I think that there's a huge element of fate and destiny in where I am at today, and I'm pretty sure it would have just been delayed, or it would have taken a lot more time. But whatever breakdown of my life did happen back then, it led me to where I needed to be, and it also, in the process, transformed me into the person that I needed to be to get to where, get to where I just felt peace. I guess, yes, that's how I would end that sentence. That was very, it took me a lot of time to think how I was gonna end that sentence, but I love sharing these tidbits. To be honest, this is me, I know I could edit that out and all of that, but frankly, I don't want to, because this is just, even if you were sitting in front of me speaking to me, this is exactly how I would speak, and I kind of like that as well. And we are running out of battery space on my camera, so just give me a second and I will fix that and we shall get back, okay? Okay, so we are back, and what I wanted to continue, I'm just looking down at my notes to see where we stopped. So the way that I perceive my adversities my challenges or just experiences that are not aligned to who I am at the person that I am right now, is I think of it as part of the process. I just think of it as this is part of the path that I need to be on to get to where I want to be. And frankly, what I have come to understand from life is there's always a dip before the rise. There's always a dip before the rise. And frankly, you need the dip to recognize and respect the rise. To sustain the rise, you need the dip. All right. And so for me, I just think that this is a very integral part of the process to get me to where I want to be. Yes, I know there was one point in my life where I didn't feel this way, but what I have come to understand after having been through what I did for the last 4 years, I think my biggest takeaway is just trust whatever is happening because it is taking you to where you need to be, and where you need to be is a place that is most aligned to who you are at that point in time. All right. And for me, like today, you asked me, I'm here, I'm doing what brings me so much peace, so much joy. And if you ask me 4 years ago, I didn't even think this could be a possibility. And today it is. And it's only because after a little bit of, panic and all of that, at that point in time, I realized that I was just being taken to where I needed to be. And that path was me finding my life purpose, finding that I found peace and joy in helping other people around me and sharing my life experiences so that other people can also view their life in a healthier perspective and actually, frankly, find peace in the life that they're living. So for me, all of that, kind of came together. And I gotta say, I didn't imagine this possibility, but I had faith. I had so much trust that it was leading me to where I needed to be. So that's one more takeaway that I wish for you to have, that where you are going to end up, just trust that it is going to be aligned with the person that you are. Just trust that it may not be what you thought it was going to be, okay? Sometimes the future that you envision yourself, it just disappears. But that does not mean that you are still not going to a place that is going to bring you peace, that is going to bring you joy. It's just going to look different, but it's still going to bring you the same feelings and possibly even more than what you had originally intended for yourself, because that's how I feel about what has happened in the last 4 years. I'm at a place where I honestly could not even have imagined it. And I like to say that our mind, we can't perceive infinite possibilities of how our life could turn out and how our life could turn out, in a way that could bring us peace. It's impossible for our mind to perceive it. And so sometimes you just have to let go and just go where life is taking you. And how do you do that? You do that by accepting whatever adversity or whatever challenges, whatever experiences that you're going through. Trust that it is taking you to where you need to be. It is transforming you into the person that you need to be to get to where you want to be, or get to a place that is most aligned to who you are. Because sometimes we don't know where we want to be, and that's okay. That's okay. Just trust that everything is taking you to a place that feels most aligned to who you are, right? So I'm just looking down at my notes, and one thing that I have written over here is, for example, you don't know how to bridge the gap. That's okay. Take a look at people who've been through similar hardships. Reach out to them if possible, okay? And use whatever steps that they've taken as a starting point for yours. Don't copy paste it into your life, because like I always keep saying, experiences, circumstances surrounding your situation, your personality, everything is very, very, very different. So what you have to do, especially when you're taking advice from people or tips from people, and even from me as you're watching this, understand that you have to use this as a starting point to see what fits into your life. Use it as a starting point and then pivot it or align it better to what suits you. So even when you are looking at other people and seeing what they've done to get out of their hardships, similar hardships, or you're talking to people, use it as a starting point and figure out what works for you. And just to reiterate this entire patio, first, channel the energy that you do have. It's very, very powerful. Don't forget that. Channel that energy and channel it to create a foundation for the life that is most aligned to who you are. The second that we talked about was understanding the lesson behind whatever it is that you are going through. Understanding that it is transforming you into the person that you need to be to live the life that you are meant to. And I know that sometimes people can say, well, some situations there wasn't any lessons, it was really, really dramatic. But I do want to say that that did transform you into the person that you are today. And what you can do, I know that some situations, some experiences are, too extreme, and I do want to keep that into consideration as well. So I know that some situations you may not be able to take the lessons out of it, but you did transform from that situation. And what I would say is use the person that you are and channel that energy into something that creates a future that is aligned to who you are. Because again, past is past and there's nothing that you can do about it. I do understand that there are certain situations that, some experiences, and I've been through one of that myself as well. So that's how I'm able to tell you. But I did transform into another person after that incident. And I've used that in a lot of ways. I've used that and it still is a part of who I am. Like that energy from whatever I gained, I think that made me more compassionate towards other people. It heightened my empathy, and I just use that today in the way that I talk to you, in the way that I share my experiences. And I guess what I did was I just channeled that negative experience into something that eventually added some peace for my life. Like, for example, today I don't want someone else to go through what I was going through or what I felt at some parts of my life, some points in my life. And so this is why I do all of this, right? So in a way, this brings me peace, because I know even if one person out there is viewing and they're going through something and they feel a little bit better because of this patio, for me, I feel peace because of that. So yeah, I do understand that sometimes there might be experiences that don't make sense, or just there is no lesson to learn from that, but at the same time it did impact you, and yes, negative and positive as well. So what you can do from those situations is, how do you make the positive even more positive, or how do you shift the negative in a way that it actually brings you peace? How can you convert that? For me, it was the heightened empathy and the heightened compassion that I felt because of what I had been through. In a different circumstance in my life, I channeled that into these patios where, even in the way that I speak to you is different. It's not, I think that at least I feel that there is a lot more empathy on my end because I've felt what you felt, and so on and so forth. So for me, that's just my way of, I can't change the past, but I can at least help more people not feel the way I did, or I'm creating a life that feels peace to me now, using whatever energy I collected from the negative experiences that I have been through in my life previously. That's how I would want to end this patio as well. And one thing that I have written over here, the last point to all of this is understanding that the experience you've been through, try to keep in mind that the experience was meant to help you in some way. It was part of the process for you to become the person that you needed to be to get to where you want to be, to live a life that is most aligned to who you are. So keep asking yourself every now and then, well, how can I use the experience that I have been through and use it to sustain a life that is aligned to who I am? So this would be a little bit post where, for example, today, 4 years on, I can ask myself, well, how do I use that experience that I've been through, all of that, and use it to sustain what I do have? And it happens in so many ways for me. For me, the motivation to get up in the morning, to shoot these videos every other day, to edit them, to do things that I probably, are a little bit too monotonous for me, but they're part of the process, to give me that energy to go through that, or to, to create content. And also, it also gives me the motivation to keep going, so on and so forth. And it also, let me tell you, there's a huge part of me that does not take for granted what I do today, and that is only and only because of the experience that led to where I am at today. I know what shifted and how dramatically my life just crumbled for me to bring it up piece by piece, and I know how much effort every single piece took. So today I don't take what I have for granted, and it's only because of that experience. So of course, after you've come out of the experience and you've managed to create a life that is most aligned to who you are, always keep looking back in the sense that how do I, keep that experience in my mind and use that as a way not to take what I have today for granted, or use it to sustain what I do have in this moment of time, because sustenance is also a very, very integral part of the process as well. Okay, so this is how I want to wrap up the entire podio. If you did like this episode, please do give me a thumbs up, hit that subscription button, hit that notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a podio. Other than that, well, I am an author. I'm the author of 0 to 4 Figures. The story that I talked about, the 4 years of my entrepreneurial journey. Well, I've actually written about it. So in my book, 0 to 4 Figures, Lessons Learned by a Broke CEO, I started out broke, guys. I'm not even kidding. In that, I have 61 stories and lessons on my digital entrepreneurship journey. And yeah, the book is very, very close to my heart. It actually encompasses 30 years. At the time I was 29, so it encompasses 29 years of life lessons that have contributed to my entrepreneurship journey. That is available on Amazon or any online bookstore for that matter, selected ones. And then there's the second book, Self-Loved, which is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts, and it covers topics like manifestation, inner child healing, trauma healing, anxiety management, emotion management, gratitude, reflections, so on and so forth. So that's one. Then the second is, if you want to reach out to me on any of my platforms, you can definitely find me on Instagram. I'm at The Marketing Nomad. And of course, if you have any thoughts, you want to share your experiences, you want to ask me questions, definitely do so in the comment section. That's the easiest way to find me. Because YouTube notifies me, whereas on Instagram it kind of goes into the requests, and I check it only maybe once every couple of weeks. So the fastest way to find me and to reach out to me, to have a conversation with me, is through the comments in the description box below. Not description box, in the comment section below, all right? And other than that, I do have a series of productivity planners, trackers, journals. They're called the Simple Series by The Marketing Nomad. At the moment of publishing this podio, there are 17 available for you. They are also available on Amazon. Now, the simplest way to find all of my stuff on Amazon is to just search my name, PRITHVI space MADHUKAR. There's even an author page over there. Yeah, other than that, if you're looking for any kind of marketing consultancy, marketing mindset, or business consultancy, definitely do reach out to me as well. The links are all in the description box below. Okay guys, I personally liked how this podio came out. Definitely let me know your thoughts. I'm interested to hear if you want to share your experience. Please feel free to do so I think that it would inspire me. It would also inspire the people around who are going to be watching this video and reading it as well. So a little bit of positive energy that we're spreading over there. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, listening all the way up until here. I'll catch you in my next video. Bye-bye.